Hello, everybody. So today we're going to talk a little bit about ELD at Boston Prep. So I'm going to use this as an opportunity to review some of the language and some of the acronyms we use for ELD, and also to go over who our students are, as well as specific ways to shelter content. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So first of all, I want to talk about some important acronyms and terms that will likely come up pretty frequently when we're talking about English learners. We have ELs or ELs, which are English learners. So you will hear this used most frequently out of all the acronyms at Boston Prep. I also want to clarify that in the past, the state of Massachusetts has referred to English learners or ELs as ELLs, English language learners. They've since moved away from that, and now it's just ELs or ELs. ELD is for English language development. That's what we call our ESL program at Boston Prep. We prefer the term ELD because many of our students already speak English. They just need a little bit of extra support with academic language. And to use a term like ESL for these students can sometimes feel quite stigmatizing. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to develop our students' English language in terms of like academic and content area language, so that they can succeed academically. So at Boston Prep, we call English language development ELD. Other schools and other states call it differently, but this is the term that we use at Boston Prep. Our next term is FLEP. So FLEP stands for Former Limited English Proficiency. And this is another term that you'll see quite a lot at Boston Prep, especially when it comes to be May or June, when we have test scores from students and we start to begin the process of deciding who should FLEP and who should not. Our next acronym is FELS, or Former English Learners. These are students who have demonstrated that they are proficient in academic English, and they have done this by passing the WIDA access test, which in the state of Massachusetts is a requirement, and also demonstrating that language is not a barrier to them succeeding academically. Our final term is opt-out. So opt-out is a student who is an English learner who does not receive direct English language instruction. Essentially, this means they do not have an ELD class because their parent or guardian determined that they did not want their child to receive these services for direct English language instruction. However, that student is still legally an English learner until they are able to pass the test. So you still must shelter content for any student who has opted out, and they must still take the WIDA access test. Another thing that I want to bring up about opting out, only parents or guardians can opt a child out. You absolutely cannot make a recommendation to a parent to opt out a child. There's a very specific process. So if you have questions about opt-out procedures, please reach out to me, and I'm happy to answer them. All right, so a little bit of information from the Department of Education. By 2025, an estimated 25% of K through 12 public school students will be English learners. So at Boston Prep, we don't quite have 25% yet, but we're on our way there. So this is just something to keep in mind, not only in terms of our rather large English learner population at Boston Prep, but this is a nationwide trend. And so we really want to be thinking critically about how we support English learners at Boston Prep. So a little bit about Boston Prep and the model that we use. Boston Prep uses an SEI model of English language instruction. So